Love you, Taylor. For change.
Maybe she'll watch this.
Probably not. We are reviewing Miss Americana, Taylor Swift's new documentary. I am a massive Taylor Swift fan. One of the biggest probably on earth, and disclaimer, I've already watched it like 4 times.
Yeah, I was going to preface this with her being the biggest Swiftie I know, and then I'm just kind of like, she's a great songwriter, no denying that, but like, I've just grown up not caring for her very much.
I loved it. I kind of knew going into the movie. I read an article, she did a Variety article about it. Someone wrote it, and they basically kind of focused on what the movie would be about. So I kind of knew that it would be about her kind of finding her voice and kind of overcoming a lot of the struggles that she's faced as a famous artist, probably one of the biggest pop stars in the world. So I kind of knew going in that it was not going to be like happy-go-lucky kind of movie, you know?
Yeah, I had no prior knowledge about it, and so I thought it was going to be all about just her making her new album, and from the very beginning you realize that's not what it's going to be about, because she starts off talking about how, well, really just how much she actually cares about what everyone else thinks about her. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I guess if you like listen to her songs, you kind of know that, but then also not, because she has Shake It Off, which seems like, you know, just shake off the haters.
I feel like I could totally see that, you know, when you're that famous, to have people hate you would just, I cannot even imagine.
Yeah, and one of the biggest parts that stood out to me was whenever they were talking about the whole Kanye West situation, which everyone knows about the Kanye West thing, where he got up on stage and took the award from her, or not award, but took the mic from her and gave a shout out to Beyonce. But for her, whenever she heard the crowd booing, she didn't know whether they were booing Kanye or booing her. So that was like a very like traumatic experience for her. From the outside perspective, you don't really see that. You think, oh, that was humiliating, but she thought the world was against her because he's Kanye West.
Yeah, so that was 11 years ago. So she was like 18 probably when that happened. And I remember she always got criticism because she always kind of brought that up. She always kind of talked about it throughout her career. It was always brought up in some way. But I feel like in this movie, the reason why she keeps bringing it up is just because you can tell that it's really had an effect on her. And I think that's valid.
Yeah, and she also talked about, which I was very surprised about, because I never thought, you know, you see a lot of celebrities have trouble with like eating disorders and stuff, and she addressed in the documentary that she would catch herself looking at pictures of herself, and she'd get self-conscious thinking that her stomach was too big, or, you know, stuff like that. And I never thought that she would have issues like that, and I think it was like important that she talked about that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts in the movie, because I could really relate to it myself. And I always looked at Taylor Swift, especially 4 or 5 years ago. So that was the 1989 era, when she was so skinny, just like so skinny.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at her and it was like, she's literally a model, like she's perfect. I feel like it was good that she opened up, because I feel like a lot of girls and boys deal with that, you know, maybe seeing a photo of yourself, or maybe you compare yourself to a ton of people on Instagram and you think, well, how can I get skinnier? And people go to extremes, and she was one of those. So
she's like definitely one of the best role models for girls, I think. I think that's pretty set in stone. And then she goes on to talk about the whole lawsuit thing, where she was groped, and there was a picture of it. And
you can tell.
So he lost his job because of it. He sued her, and then she sued him back for $1.
Yeah,
right?
A symbolic $1. So basically what happened was, I forget the rate, he was a big radio DJ in Denver, and this all happened at like a meet and greet right before one of her shows, and they told people about it. She didn't cause a commotion, and then, like she said, they told that radio DJ's the company did an investigation. The company fired him, so it's not even like Taylor had anything to do with it. The company is the one that fired him, and then he sued Taylor $4 million because he said that he made her lose her job. And it's like,
yeah.
But you were the one.
You're obviously the one who was in the wrong. Like,
in the wrong. Yeah.
Like if he has anyone vouching for him, like that would just be so surprising to me.
Yeah.
That led into which this was the most surprising part of the documentary to me. But like I said, I did no prior research about it. I did not know what it was going to be about. But politics was that was a big part of the documentary. Her lawsuit had a big part in the way she views the world now. And so she explained how that just changed her life. And she found out a lady in Tennessee was running for senator and she did not stand for women's rights at all.
I think, obviously, towards the end of the movie, like you mentioned, the lawsuit was a really big catalyst for her to want to be able to speak up about politics because she never did before. That was kind of one of the big things that a lot of people didn't like about Taylor Swift was that she never endorsed a candidate before. Everyone thought that she was this big Republican and like
I
Trump
thought she
supporter.
was. Yeah.
Because she was so quiet on politics and just never made a peep, and it clearly shows that her team wouldn't let her do it. And the lawsuit was the thing where she was like, next time something happens, I want to have something to say about it, and you better know what you're going to say. And I think that the movie does a really good job of showing that she really does care about politics and educating herself. And I think that's a really admirable to do.
And I do love how she just stood for what she wanted. She was like, no, this is something, I don't care what people have to say about this issue in particular. Like, this isn't a random issue. This is going on and this is important to me and I need to speak out about it.
I feel like a lot of people criticize celebrities just in general for talking about politics, but if they can use their voice for however they want to and for whatever they believe in, I think that they should do that. Especially if they're really educated about the topic. Why wouldn't you speak up with your platform? You have hundreds of millions of followers. I mean, why wouldn't you say something? I think it's almost irresponsible not to.
And even though that lady did end up winning the election, the rise in like young voters was insane. You can assume it mostly had to do with Taylor Swift speaking out about it. Did you expect the documentary to show Joe Alwyn more? Is that his name?
Yeah, I did. They didn't show him a lot.
Yeah,
they didn't even name him.
Yeah, I think at one point you can see like a side profile of his face, but like that's it.
He kind of looks like Joe from he looks the hat, he's wearing like a hat and a vest in like all of the scenes, and he looks like Joe from You.
Oh yeah.
I just see all these memes.
Yeah.
And it's like Joe Alwyn looks like Joe from You.
I guess it did kind of show like whenever she did start seeing someone, she kind of stepped back and she kept the relationship completely private, and she even said in it like she was happy. She felt happy, but it wasn't like in the way that she had been. It was like, it was a different kind of happy.
Can't relate.
Me neither. But anyways, my overall take on the documentary was, it was all right. I mean, I watch documentaries like crazy, so I like other documentaries better.
Yeah.
But I do, I mean, it was entertaining and it was interesting. To see, I guess, a different side that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back and watch. I watched it 3 times already.
Oh my God.
But each time you just there's different. You take away something different each time. She's very self-aware of like her situation. Like she knows that like she's very privileged. She knows that she does not live a normal life, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't have her own problems, and just because she has money and she's rich and she's beautiful doesn't mean that she doesn't have it hard. If anything, I think she has more problems than I do. I don't want any of her problems.
All right, thank you for watching. Hope you found this interesting.
See you at Loverfest, whoever's going. LA, night 2, pit 1. See you there.
esercito di prodi